All right. Hello, guys. Sean here, Blue Ridge Silverhound. Welcome, welcome. So we got the day late, but not a dollar short Monday market report for the week ending September 7th, 2025. So we're going to be taking a look at the top modern graded coins to have sold here last week. Sunday being the closeout day for the week as we explore greatcollections.com. They are one of the biggest, I would say, the fastest growing online auction house today, and they are pretty consistent with their listings and produce some quality results as well. The market has long been very robust here lately. As we're heading into the fall months, we're going to be checking a lot closer look at how these coins are performing with the precious metals market going just wacko right now, and things like that. Which it has a pulling effect overall on the entire numismatics market. And, I would say that this particular week, we have some pretty nice stuff that we don't traditionally see. Sure, we'll still have our fair share of registry set quality coins. There will be a few of those here. But also this week, for probably the first time in, if I had to guess, maybe 1 to 2 years, where we've seen just a resurgence of Washington quarters, most specifically the 1965 to 1998 kind of age bracket, right after the Silver Standard had ended and right before the Statehood Quarter Series came into effect. We have a number of coins to talk about that now all of a sudden people are talking about. Is it time to dust off these quarters? They are quite plentiful out there. Even in nice condition, would it be worth grading? Those are some of the things that I think that we're all kind of pondering if whether that would be a good money play here today. But before we do that, I want to let you know, channel sponsor Whatnot has been fantastic in supporting the Blue Ridge Silverhound brand. And because of that, we've been putting on some really nice shows here lately. We have another one here coming up tomorrow on Wednesday. It's going to be Wifey's World, and she is going to be selling a new acquisition of coins and part of her collection. Just one of the most unbelievable selections of Mercury dimes, along with a bunch of other U.S. type coins that will be in full display tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, and that's September 10th, by the way. So come join us, come join her, and show your support. If you haven't joined up already, again, it's a great platform to be a part of. This is where everybody goes for their collectibles. We got the QR code right on screen, or you could use the links that we have down below in the description box, or pinned to the comment section of this video. Sign up today. Get $15 off your very first item. It doesn't matter if it's a coin, a piece of bullion, it could be a comic book, trading cards, sports cards, you name it. There's a lot of collectibles that are being sold on this platform, and they are the top of the heap. So what are you waiting for, boys and girls? Come join us tomorrow night for the Wifey's World Coin Show. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Okay, pretty nice selection. 2009 Lincoln Cent. This is part of the 100-year anniversary, compilation, I suppose, where they had produced 4 different designs. Now, the Presidency, which is the last installment of this particular series, I believe is the lowest minted out of the 4 different designs. You could pick either the Denver or the Philadelphia struck coins. This one right here, they made the least amount of them. So these things all of a sudden are getting a little bit more attention with the registry set game just being on fire as we speak right now. But also, there's not nearly as many just raw, uncirculated coins that prospectors can send out to grading companies. A lot of them had been circulated up to this point. So this particular one right here comes in at a Mid-State 67 Plus red by PCGS. And believe it or not, it's the type of grade that a registry set Lincoln Cent collector would want. This particular one ended up selling for $1,406.25. The next one that we have here, believe it or not, even though it's not a perfect 70 grade, this is kind of like one of those dates where you're going to have a hard time finding quality, and that's 1971. The 1971S proof Lincoln Memorial Cent right here is a little bit hit or miss. So with these earlier 70s proof sets, there is the issue of quality, number one. Number two is finding one where you're going to have nice frosty devices. Okay, 71, 72 seems to be that date where, you have a 50-50 shot. Anything earlier than this, you're going to have a whole heck of a hard time trying to find the really nice frosty coins with the nice mirrored fields to accompany it. This one right here coming in at Proof 69 red, which is such a high grade for this coin. And keeping in mind in this particular generation of coin production, the quality isn't as high as it is in the later 70s. So this one right here, as you can tell, also has deep cameo contrast on there. This one ended up selling for $1,128.36. All right, the next one that we have here is, this is again a classic case of just high quality and just the non-existence thereof of such coins, 1968S. And take one close look at this. This is not the typical finish that you normally find on a 1968S proof Lincoln Cent. Again, all of this frostiness that you're seeing on the devices of the coin. Devices, when I say that, is all of the raised parts of the coin, the design work of the coin, the letters, the numbers, the memorial, Lincoln's bust, things like that. Anything that's in relief or raised off of the coin is going to be frosted. Now, normally, back in the day, they did just a traditional sandblasting in those areas to achieve that nice, frosty, pebbly surface in those areas. But over time, as the coins are being struck, this whittles away. And, we don't see nearly as much frost. A pretty tough thing to achieve here if you are going to grade these. Again, not financial advice, but, to give you an idea, these things get pretty pricey. This one right here, achieved by a Proof 69 red grade, and it also has deep cameo. So this is kind of like the dream scenario if you're going to grade this. This one ended up hammering for $1,506.24. Nice to see a couple non-traditional earlier date proof cents. We don't see too many of them. We see more like, the latter 70s, early 80s where perfect proof 70s are more kind of like what you're looking for than any other grade level. 69s would be kind of a buzzkill on, say, a 1978 proof Lincoln Cent, whereas, 10 years earlier on something like this, it would actually be quite a windfall here. 1950 Lincoln Wheat Cent. It's been quite a while since we've highlighted this particular date, and as you would imagine, it is quite the just really difficult date to find in nice condition. Now, PCGS has signed a grade of Mid-State 67 red for this example, which more than likely it's going to go into some sort of high-profile Lincoln Cent registry if needed. I know, there's some of these that are currently existing out there, and I think it's only a matter of time where someone's going to pop a 6-7 plus, and people are really, really pursuing those much higher graded Philadelphia 1950s coins. This one right here, by the way, ended up selling for $1,350. Quite an impressive coin. But I have seen a lot better from the 50s, especially for any Philly coin. And yeah, I mean, it's been a few months, but yeah, it's back in force. The steel cents, we're not going to ever go out of style, let's be honest. This is probably one of the most popular, most decorated, singular one-shot coins to have ever been produced. And it has everything to do with the composition. Going from bronze copper, now all of a sudden for 1 year, they did steel. And this is all in the effort of rationing copper for the war efforts. And I'm glad they did. Even though this was not the best quality composition to use because, well, they rusted, they get spots on them, and they were just really hard to take care of if you were not careful. All right, but here we are. 80 plus years later, and these things are, everybody knows about them. Even people that don't collect coins, they know about the 1943 Steelies. So this is the Denver version here. These are generally very well struck. They have above average luster. You'd be hard pressed to find any of them that will grade lower than mid-state 65. That's how well produced these were. This one, however, at a 68 is quite a nice grade level that it would take some dedicated searching to find one, but eventually if you dig enough, you will find something that'll grade out as 7 or an 8, with a possibility that CAC might cross this over with a green bean or something like that, and that's where the money comes in. So this one doesn't have a CAC certified sticker on it, but still a very important sale here this week for $1,800. There are 6/8 pluses of this particular coin, and that's going to be kind of like where the most amount of money is going to fall for the steel cents, whether it's a Philly, Denver, or San Francisco. They all seem to sell very similarly at the highest grade levels. Here's a very tough date, tougher than what it appears to be. A 1932D Lincoln Wheat cent here is such a fantastic coin in its own right. Everybody's sweating the 31S, 26S, and a few of the other kind of like middle dated coins that we tend to forget. There are some pretty tough ones out there. The 33D is a great one, 33 Philly, 32D, among a few others. And 31D is another sleeper as well. That's worth, in some certain cases, a lot more than the key date 31S. 32D is no slouch. And if you're able to pop a 67 red grade like you see here, congratulations. You have essentially won a little mini lottery of sorts. This one, by the way, is also CAC certified, which is a pretty big deal. This one right here is selling for $6,018.75, and I told you so. And, it's just, I told you so. This is a very expensive coin. At the right grade level, you will do no wrong here. And then here, the last one, I believe, the last Lincoln cent of the list is this 1918 Lincoln that you see here. Just good to see. This one ended up in a 67 red holder by PCGS, It's so close. It looks like it could be just a little bit of a brown in there to make it a red brown, but Grady Company, they went with all red on this one, and that actually ended up paying off, selling for $3,890.25. All right, so now we're on to nickels, and to help lead things off, this is yet again another one of those dates that just does not pop up in an auction setting that much. 68, 69, and 70, forget about it. They're near impossible to find with a good strike. This one just so happens to kind of hit that mark well. From what I'm seeing here, the steps look good. This one, by the way, graded in a 66 full step holder by PCGS here. And I mean, it's neat. It's neat to see these when they do pop up. That just means that there are some of these out there still to be found. And, again, it's going to take some hunting. That's why that this trio of dates are among some of the most valuable of the entire Jefferson nickel series, is that they're just really hard to find with that full steps. This one right here ended up selling, by the way, for $2,813.62. I'm willing to bet this thing will cross over probably the five digit mark if it hits 67. It's that big of a coin. 1938D. This one, our first, I would say our first variety of the week. This is an RPM, D over D. NGC graded this time around. It's such a huge coin. It's so clean. Mid-State 68 is such a high grade on any Buffalo nickel, but 1938 is a good one still, even though a lot of these were preserved in high grades because it was the last year of this particular series. People were waiting on the wings of the Jefferson nickels that were coming up here during the same year of issue, that these things were being scooped up, at the moment that they hit circulation. Not a lot of these really circulated a whole lot, But anyways, we have a really nice coin with, just amazing luster. The luster was always been good for 38. And the Denver Mint was only issuing mint facility for this particular coin. And this one ended up selling for $3,206.25, keeping in mind that there are a number of overmint marks like D's over S's and D over D RPMs that you can find for this particular date. It's such a fun find and such a fun date to kind of hunt around in. Here's the 37D, kind of a glossy example here, and this one is the 3 legs, so it's got that over-braided, over-polished die, which led to the disappearance of that forward front leg of the Buffalo on the reverse. And, these things have gone on, in much the same fashion as the steel cent to be a part of numismatic lore. And they will always, forever be a very popular coin and a highly investable one for years to come. Mid-State 62 is the PCGS assigned grade, CAC certified. It says 3 legs on the label. Great investor piece here. Selling for $3,937.50. 36D coming up next. This is not a rare date. However, it's probably a registry-bound type coin here. It's actually got some pretty neat, very light pastel tone color to it, which certainly does help its cause. A lot of people tend to gravitate toward examples that have some sort of originality to it. This one appearing like it was probably sitting in some old album at one point where it was able to collect a little bit of this skin over time. Mid-State 67 Plus is a big grade. It's CAC certified as well, so it's double positive here on the grading aspect of things. $7,029 is what this one ended up selling for. Crazy in that it sold for nearly twice the price of the 3-legged buffalo, and collectors covet the 3-legged buffalo more so than a common date buffalo nickel, like this one here. But at the right grade level, that kind of changes the game a little bit, makes it a lot more scarce. And we also have this 1920, the final nickel of the group. This one's on the list because it's nice. It's bright, flashy. It's got tons of die clashing. If you're able to see that on the obverse and reverse of the coin, this thing is a feast for the eyes in that way. This one right here is 66 plus, CAC certified as well. Very nice specimen. And this one here ended up selling for $4,387.50. Some of the non-mint marked Philly struck early 20s, late teens coins can be quite expensive, with the right grade and the right circumstances of bidders. This is one of those classic cases of that actually happening. We have a couple of dimes. No Roosevelts to speak of this week. A little bit on the kind of dry spell side of things here lately. 1935S Mercury dime, first one up. Great looking coin here with full split bands. Looks pretty good from these images. This one graded by PCGS in a 67 full bands holder. Very nice. And this one ended up selling for $1,046.25. And of course, the key date that everybody loves, but they don't love to spend this kind of money on them. I'm telling you, these things, they tick up 3 to 5% every year. And at that small percentage, we don't feel it from one year to the next. But if you look at like charting for the last 10, 15 years, this thing has gained roughly 25% of secondary market value. How do I know? I actually went back and looked at some old data, some archives from Heritage, from Great Collections, and various others. And I'm like, holy smokes, this coin, in just every conceivable grade level is highly desired. This one right here, as you can tell, a VG8, doesn't seem like a whole lot of coin here, but you're getting one of the most recognizable 20th century key date coins that it really doesn't matter what grade it is. I know for a lot of the purists out there, they want one that's wholesome, that's not clean, that's not damaged. So this is going to be more of what people are looking for. And kind of throw budget out the window. You're going to understand you're going to be paying at least $1,000 or more. And when I mean $1,000, that's at AG3 grade. A VG8, by the way, this one here, sold for $2,306.25. Not a cheap coin in VG8. In fine, it jumps up to over $3,000. So, get them while you can. I have a feeling that these things are they're going to continue their same trajectory, and that's quite scary for the future value of these. It's kind of like buying pre-33 gold these days. It's like I'm looking at the ticker, and we're up over $35 an ounce. And that continuous push of the gold and precious metals market, for say a double eagle that used to buy for $2,300 is now $3,700. It's like it has this kind of like tidal wave effect, not only on just gold coins, but the entire coin market as a whole. The 1916D right here, I would say, had some sort of effect from just the rising prices of gold and silver over the last 12 to 18 months. Now here's the quarters. The quarter is quite strange because you're going to find that there is nothing older than 1965 in this group. Okay, so you might want to pay a little close attention here. Do you have some of these quarters? If so, you might want to actually consider thinking about making a move with them, whatever that might look like. Obviously, grading them and selling them, if and only if you're confident enough in your grading ability. And that's a huge if. Because I thought I was playing in that game, but, it's just the one little nick or scratch can turn the tide quite a bit. 1990p. This date, this quarter, has been off the radar for years on the Blue Ridge Silverhound channel. Actually, a few of them that we're talking about here today, non-existent. And here we're like knocking out 3, 4, 5 of them in one show. This is the highest grade. All right, this one looks like it was in like a Dansko holder, because that's where you're going to get some of this light yellowy, very pillowy, kind of light, foggy kind of toning that you're seeing here. There's a couple, adjectives to help describe what we're seeing here. But a 68 is insane. It's really crazy. I know for the longest time there were a couple of gentlemen that were grading 1990s quarters in the hopes of the 68, and they were all coming back 66s and 6+s, and it was kind of a nightmare, because toward the end, right before the Statehood quarter series popped off, quality was just okay in a good old spaghetti hair series of quarters, which ran from 1987 all the way up to 1998. There was a lot left to be desired here. Not too many people were very crazy about the design toward the end and its change. But now, here we are, 3 decades later. Now people are paying closer attention to these. So you're probably wondering, a 68 in a 1990 Philly with this kind of weird toning on it, it really made a huge impact this week. $4,443.75. I mean, shoot, that's something you don't hear of on these particular coins. 88p, probably from the same owner as the 1990. You can tell just from the overall look of the coin. And you have to be really in love with the appearance of these. And I understand they're going to end up in a registry set, but, man, it's hard for me to kind of like fall in love with these, because they're not really. I get it. It's originality to the coin, and this one here in a Mint State 67 is actually a lot higher and a lot more important than it looks. This one here is selling for $2,925. So yeah, I bet you guys weren't expecting that. We also have the 77D right here. Nice earlier original specimen. No toning, it's just got kind of like semi-satiny surfaces, which is, par for the course for late 70s quarters. This one coming in at a 6.5, the plus designation, a little bit of a bump there on this one. And this one ended up selling for $1,822.50. This one right here, this is the first time that we're covering this, number one. Number two, this thing is so rare. I've looked for many years to try and find the FS801 doubled die reverse proof Washington quarter. And I'm sitting there staring at one. All right. It doesn't look and appear as impressive as some of the other Washington quarter dates with the same DDR. Especially on proof. This one right here, if you look at quarter dollar on the reverse, it's really hard to kind of gauge it from these images, but the letter A in quarter has a double peak on the top, and that's when you have the FS801. That's like the huge marker for these. And probably the most distinguishable out of any other letter on the reverse. This one, proof 68, seems to be just like an okay average grade for proof quarters during this era. It's either going to be a 7 or 8, which is going to be more of the commonality here. So this one right here ended up selling for $1,181.25. I've seen a few of these sell raw over the years, and probably the last public sale was about 3-4 years ago. It sold for in excess of $500, not in a graded holder. So it's a highly liquid, very rare variety. If you guys have any 1970s proof sets, again, the big one is that silver candy $50 with a very low mintage. They didn't make a whole lot of these, believe it or not. But this is the one to be on the lookout for. They're saying that there's about maybe 50 or less of these in existence, and that's a very small number for this variety. Here's a couple more business strikes. A 66 and a 67, keeping in mind that they did special mid sets during these years. So there was no official release of a mid set for either 66 or 67. So it's not like that you could pull out a nice one out of a mint set, because they made only special mint set coins, which have like a nice hard strike, and they're a lot more satiny and smooth. They look nothing like the coin that you see here, which is just a business strike quarter. Mint State 68 is such a huge grade. I cannot stress this enough of how insane this grade is for a business strike mid-60s quarter. This one coming in at a sale of $4,059. Yeah, I mean, let the heads roll. This is insane. There's your 1966. In comparison to 67, the business strike 66 looks to be a better quality piece. We can all agree on that. This one right here, also in a mid-state 68, and another big sale here at $3,037.49. So again, another big one there. And the final coin for this week's Monday Market Report, another huge variety that I have never personally found, and now I'm kind of like Jonasing to find one of these. I mean, I've been looking for these for decades. I've probably looked through maybe 300 or 400 special mint sets in the hopes of finding a 1965 doubled die reverse FS801. Okay, this is not the business strike coin. This is the special mint set version that you find out of those sets. This one, referred to with the doubled stars on the reverse. So see that that just complete circle of stars. Yeah, you're going to see some doubling there. Probably more close proximity to the bottom set of stars. It's very impressive. When you do find it, you just know. All right, but yeah, this one I've hunted through, for years. Have never found one. This is like one on my hit list, much the same way as that 1970s Washington quarter was. SP68, again, that's more of a typical grade for an SMS coin. Again, SP67, 68 is the more common grades for this particular coin because they were so well struck. This one, I'm reeling over this sale of $9,663.75. And that's kind of like the big reason why I'm going to go back and look for these is that, an almost $10,000 price tag will change your perspective on what you feel about a certain coin or the efforts that you've put into trying to find one. I think I really need to double down and try and look for this because it's such a huge coin. And for anything, just the cash grab alone is going to be worth it. That's going to go ahead and wrap it up. Kind of a crazy week. Again, the information in this video is for educational use only. Never lose sight of that. Not financial advice. Thank you guys again for tuning in. It was a lot of fun to talk about some of these pretty cool modern coins that popped off here this last week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Come check us out tomorrow night. We have some insane, beautiful, high-grade Mercury dimes that we are going to be selling. A lot of them are going to be started at $1, and you are just going to be blown away by the quality that we have for you tomorrow night. Come join us if you can. If not, just, support us from afar. Tell us that we're doing a good job, and that's all that matters. So you guys take care. Enjoy the hobby. Have a great night, and I will see you on the next coin video. So long, guys.